Will you be visiting Ireland from a cruise ship? Today's podcast is all about touring from cruise ports. But even if you're not cruising, you'll still get some great tips from this episode. Hey, thanks so much for joining me again here on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Today's episode is kind of for the cruisers in the group, but even if you're not hopping a cruise, you're going to get some great information, so don't click off. Just a reminder before we get started, if you happen to contact somebody that you heard on the podcast, be sure to mention where you heard them. It not only helps me to get more great guests on the show, but it also helps me to share more Ireland travel tips. So go ahead and be a name dropper. Just say, I heard about you on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Now, cruise ships in Irish ports are becoming more and more common. And with that come requests for day tours from those ports of call. My guest today is Bob McAuliffe, who is the owner of About Ireland Taxi Tours, and they offer cruise ship excursions from ports around the country. So, Bob, thank you for joining me today. I am really looking forward to chatting with you about this.
Jody.
I've been partnering with you for quite a few years now. You are my go-to for clients who don't need a dedicated driver maybe for their entire trip. You know, your company does a lot of point-to-point as well as day trips. And so I was really excited when you shared with me your new cruise ship excursion site.
Well, thanks, Jody. It is exciting for us because I originally started out doing excursions from cruise ships in my taxi. That grew into About Cork Taxi Tours, which was the biggest private operator out of Cork Port for many years. And COVID happened, and like everybody else, it gave me time to reflect and look at where we were. And I looked at what was happening and I said, you know, we can do this better and we can do it nationally. So About Cork Taxi Tours became About Ireland Taxi Tours. So we now can offer shore excursions and day tours from any city or any port in Ireland. There are 12 cruise ports in Ireland.
Which I think people wouldn't expect. 12 is a pretty large number for the size of the country.
It is, but most ships would probably do 6 or 7. The main ones would be Dublin, Belfast, Derry or Killybegs, Galway, Cork, Waterford. They're kind of the normal ones. You do get the smaller ships going to Dingle and going to Bantry, go to Greencastle, going to Warren Point. A lot of the Irish ports are tender ports. It means that the ship anchors in the bay and you're brought in by a smaller boat. So those days, you're constricted by the time you can get off the ship and by the time you need to be back to get back on the ship. We have a policy that we run, which is that we have you back 1 hour before the ship is due to sail. No matter what port you're in, that is the deadline. Now, if you come into Cove, you're walking back on the ship. We'll do stuff in Cove. We'll do the cathedral and different bits and pieces, the Lusitania Memorial, and then we'll drop you at the ship. And that's fine. But if you're in Dunmore East, we need to know that you can get back. So we always make sure we're back to Dunmore East well before the buses, so that it's actually comfortable for you getting back to the ship. But we'll adapt the day to suit you.
Because I know that when people are on cruise ships, they have an option to do the escorted tours from the cruise ships. But then there's also the option to book something on your own. So what would you say that people should keep in mind before they book a cruise ship excursion with an independent company? I mean, obviously, if you book it through the cruise ship, you have some guarantees. But before you book with somebody else, what should you keep in mind?
Well, the first thing is to check their reliability. There's more and more companies coming into the market, more and more drivers coming into the market. You can check their TripAdvisor, you can check them on Google, check their reviews, and that will give you a very good idea of what the company is like. The other thing is avoid over-ambitious tours.
That's such great advice.
I had a lovely lady the other day ask me, could she do the Cliffs of Moher from Cove? Now, it's 4 hours up and it's 4 hours back, and the ship comes in at 8 o'clock and it leaves at 5. And I thought we couldn't do it. I said, being honest, I wouldn't. And even if they were in for 10 hours, I still wouldn't do it. Because you always have to take into account of a puncture, something going wrong. So I won't. We will stay within a reasonable distance of the port. For us, we give basically a guarantee that we will have you back to your ship in time. And we're one of the few companies that do. The other thing, I suppose, make sure that the company has the right vehicle for your needs. If you've got 4 passengers, if you've got one person that accessibility needs or a wheelchair, well, a car won't do. And unfortunately, we will not put 4 people into a saloon car. It's a maximum of 3. If you want 4, we'll go to a minute.
Right. And that's like a 4-door sedan for anybody who's wondering what a saloon car is. It's like a 4-door sedan.
Yeah. We will put 3 passengers maximum into that. Anything above that, it's a 7 or an 8-seat minibus. We have 26 wheelchair accessible minibuses working with us around the country. So whether you're in Cove, Dingle or Donegal, we'll have a wheelchair accessible vehicle for you. So often I see people down at the port, 4 people getting into a small sedan. And as well as the Irish sedans are smaller than the American sedans. Most people will know a Prius. And a lot of the taxis in Ireland are Priuses. And you're putting 4 people into that for a full day tour? That's not comfort.
Yes, knowing the vehicle you're going to be in is definitely important. What else should people maybe be aware of? Are there questions they should ask the tour company before booking?
If they do a little bit of research, but check the tour that they are offering you. I'll always say to people that Google Maps doesn't really, it works in Ireland, but it tells white lies. Because Google Maps is based on a local driver using that route, and it messes up the algorithm. So when we've got a tourist and he wants to stop and take a photograph, that puts the time out the window. So look at the tour that you want to do. If you want to go to Blarney, for argument's sake, well, you do Blarney first.
You've got to give yourself time to do those things too. I think that's what a lot of people don't take into account is that, yes, you could go to all of these places, but you're not giving yourself the time to enjoy an experience, right?
The problem is, okay, if you go to Blarney, everybody wants to kiss the Blarney Stone. Every bus in front of you is a 30-minute add-on to the queue. So if you get there and there's 4 buses in front of me, that's a 2-hour queue to kiss the stone. On average, when a cruise ship comes in, the queue to kiss the Blarney Stone is between 3 and 4 hours at 10 o'clock in the morning. Do you really want to waste 4 hours of your day standing in a queue? Now, when we do Blarney, what we tell people is you need to be off the ship first, you need to be in the car, and we need to have you in Blarney for 9 o'clock. So that as soon as the gate opens, you're in, you're through, you can kiss the stone. And then you can relax and enjoy the gardens. To me, it's a mortal sin for anybody to go to Blarney, go into the castle, kiss the stone, and walk out and not explore the gardens.
Yeah, the gardens are the highlight for sure.
Yeah, they're beautiful. What I'm saying is, it's not down to the tour company alone. It's down to you doing your little bit of research. And remember, this is your day. If it's a cookie box you want, well, you can, cruise ship wouldn't do that for you. We do 10 different itineraries out of Cork. But 9 times out of 10, I'll talk to the people and within 10 seconds, I know they don't want that. And we will build an itinerary for them.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that really sets you apart, Bob, is that you take the time to, quote unquote, meet the people that have contacted you and understand what it is that they want to get out. Even if it's just a couple quick questions, you understand what they want to get out of a day and you're very able to alter something to make it a better fit. And I think that that's, it's kind of like your superpower.
I know what I don't want when I go on holidays. I know what I don't want. People find it very, very unusual that sometimes I'll have somebody and I'll be talking to them about doing something out of Cove, for argument's sake. And I always mention Cove because I love Cove. It's one of my favorite places. But I will say to them, you can stay in Cove. You can do Spike Island, which is fantastic. You can do the Titanic experience. You can do the Heritage Centre. You can pop on a train, go up as far as Fota and do Fota House and Gardens. You don't need my services. And again, in Dublin, if somebody wants to do Dublin city centre, I will tell them, you don't need a driver. Now, yes, if I have somebody with a disability, I will work with them and we will figure something out. But as a rule, there are options that you don't need to use a tour company if you're in the right place. Now, if you're in Bantry, well, you don't have a lot of options. But we do 4 different tours out of Bantry. Everybody else, they do one bog standard tour that everybody does, right? And they take it down the Beara Peninsula, which is stunning. But the cruise ship are taking coaches down there. So everywhere you're going, there's a coach in front of you or a coach behind you. So you're working time. Whereas if you went to Garnish Island or you popped up to Gougon Barra for lunch, I mean, Gougon Barra is one of the prettiest. But there are options for everybody when they're coming on a cruise. And now I have one specific client in my mind. His first tour with me was in 2005 and he's coming back this year. And he was here 2 years ago and he was here just before COVID and he was here in 2016 and he was here in 2014 and 2012. He comes every second year and every time he comes, he does a different tour. But if you want a recommendation, that's the best recommendation I can give you for what we do. And every time he comes, he asks the same question. Can I drive him? And the answer is no, not anymore. I don't. But I have amazing drivers. They're local. They grew up in the area. They know the stories. They know the secret places. One of my drivers, Liam Sheffron. Liam picked up a lovely lady, her husband and her sister last year. They were trying to trace their family roots. They knew it was Skibbereen. And she had shared a little bit with me. I spoke to Mary down in the Heritage Centre in Skibbereen. And Liam rang her that morning. He said, okay, people on board. And Mary told them where the house was, where the farm was, how to get there. Called into Mary. She showed them on the map. Liam took them there. That was their perfect day. They saw where their great-great-grandfather had come from. And that's the beauty of what we do. If your driver isn't a local, doesn't understand the area, doesn't understand the people, can't connect with them, you can't connect with them. In America, you have the Super Bowl. In Ireland, we have the All-Ireland final. Within our group, we have 8 drivers who have All-Ireland medals, football and hurling. And to have one of those gentlemen and one lady who has an All-Ireland camogie medal, which is female version of hurling, which is the fastest field sport in the world. It looks like open warfare. It's not. But it looks though. But when you have a driver like that and he can take a hurley out of the boot of his car and a slitter, which is like a baseball, and teach you hurling in a field on the side of the road, that's magic. When somebody's coming on a cruise, if you're coming to visit somewhere, figure out what you want to see. And you know me long enough, Jody, to know I hate the top 10. Top 10 tourist attractions. It's the journey there. That's the magic. Yes, I love Blarney. I make no bones. I love this as I was a child. But it's the little places that we can show you in between, like Danny Linehan's sweet shop in Cork. Danny is the last proper sweet confectioner. He makes hard rock candy. He makes the most wonderful marshmallows. He makes the most beautiful fudge. And you can stand there and watch them making them. That's magic. That's what makes a day. Taking somebody to lunch to a restaurant or a pub and getting them behind the bar to fill their own pint. That's special. And we can do that anywhere in the country because the lads that we have, they know the pub owner. They probably played football or hurling with him. So there's an immediate connection. And there's always a favour to be had to let somebody behind the bar or whatever it is. The one thing that makes me so proud of my drivers is the fact that you start the day as a client. Within 5 minutes, you're a friend. And by the time you leave, you feel like you're leaving your best friend. And that's what makes what we do special.
Interrupting the podcast for a quick favor. If you're enjoying this episode, go ahead and share the podcast with a friend who's dreaming of Ireland, or leave a quick review. It only takes a second and it really helps others find the show. You can do that at IrelandFamilyVacations.com/trust, TRUST. Just say something nice. I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Back to the podcast. I love that. So just to kind of circle back to where we began, because you have so many great stories, Bob, and I know we've sat and talked for hours, so I know we could continue to do so. So circling back to the beginning, you have drivers that are available at all the cruise ports in Ireland, and you can help people with a day tour to fit the time that they have and take in those local sites as well as the places that they don't know about yet.
Yes, we have 12 ports in Ireland, and because of our system, you have a local professional driver. The first thing my drivers will always do to a client is say, I know the itinerary you booked, but is there anything that's come up that you want to see instead? And we can adapt the day if need be. Every port in Ireland is different. Every port, within the range of every port, you have wonderful things to see. And as I said, yes, I like the business, but it's not always about the business. And I will say to people, that sometimes you don't need a driver.
Well, and I think also what kind of makes you stand out is that you will tell people if something doesn't make sense or something can't be done. And I hate to say it, but there are drivers who, if you say you want to visit the Cliffs of Moher from Cork, they will do it. I have had people contact me because they didn't get back to the boat in time. And then I contact you and say, hey, Bob, I've got somebody stranded at a port and they need to get to the next one. So I think that the fact that you are honest, you are helpful, and you do really, know your areas, your drivers know their areas, and they give excellent service, and you can't discount any of that.
If somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer, I won't bluff. I will turn around and say, give me a day. I'll ask one of the lads up there because he will give me the answer. Because what makes us different is we don't give you an overview of an area. Our lads know this is where they grew up. They know the local pubs. They know the local hotspots. As one of the lads said to me the other day, we know the kissing corners. We've used them. But when somebody's coming to Ireland, to us, well, we are the face of Ireland. And I want people to see the best of Ireland, and I want to see them the best face. I want them to leave our cars smiling. I have a fantastic team, great team of lads. We can do every port. We can take you off, and we can take you from Dublin and take you up and show you Newgrange, which is amazing. And for some reason, none of the tours that you see advertised from the cruise ships, it's either Dublin or it's Wicklow. And that's it. There's so much more to Ireland. They take you to Powers Court in Glendalough, and they're both lovely. But you go to Belvedere House out in Westmeath, you go to Trim Castle, you go to Hillatara, you go to Newgrange. That's a fantastic day. And that's easily done from Dublin in a day. But if you want to do Guinness Storehouse, the Epic Museum, the Little Museum of Dublin, I will be honest with you and I'd say, save your money. You don't need a driver. I think that's what people appreciate. You get off at Warren Point and we can take you and we can show you all the Game of Thrones locations that were used. We can even take you to the studio and you can do a tour. It's an amazing tour, the Game of Thrones studio. And if you've never seen the show, which I haven't, but we loved the tour when we did it. But, if you go to Killybegs, again, there's amazing places to see up there. But there's nothing to do in Killybegs, so you need to book something. And I would say that to people, I would say, look, the port you're going into, there's not much there. If you want an easy day, if you go into Foynes and you want an easy day, the Foynes Flying Boat Museum is literally across the road. It's fantastic. And then you can wander back to the ship after a couple of Irish coffees and be happy. Or you can go down and we can take you down to the Dingle Peninsula or do Listowel, the Writers' Museum in Listowel, which I love. But then the days are not about me. They're not about the things that I love. They're about what my clients want. And we will offer them something different and we will build something for them. And I much prefer to spend the time building an itinerary for somebody than have them pick one of the tours that we have listed on the website.
Or just a suggestion. Those tours on the website are just a suggestion.
Yeah. It's your day. That's what we do. We take your day and we make it work for you.
Yeah, you perfect it is what you do, Bob. Where can people learn more about Ireland taxi tours? And how can they get a hold of you? I know that you've got stuff going on in a lot of places. So where can people find you?
Well, you'll find us on Facebook. You'll find us on Instagram. You'll find us on our own website about Ireland taxi tours. Strangely enough, that links into two other websites about Cork taxi day tours, which I set up this year to bring us back to where we started because I love the way cruise ships work. So you can find us, I said, at About Ireland Taxi Tours. If you click the link for cruise ships, it'll bring you to the brand new website. So, I mean, you'll find us there. You'll find us places like with you in Ireland Family Vacations. You'll find us. And we do work with a number of different travel agents in the US. Probably the website or on Facebook, because we are part of a lot of groups on Facebook and we will give advice freely. And again, people find it strange when we would say, well, you can do this yourself.
And my listeners know that any links that are mentioned are on the show notes. So very easy to get in touch with you from the links in the show notes. So Bob, you have shared so many places and things. And so there's going to be lots and lots of information in the accompanying show notes. But before I let you go, if somebody were to come into Cork on a cruise ship, what are 3 spots in the area that you would recommend that would be at the top of your recommendation list for somebody coming in on a cruise ship?
I said, I love Blarney. I make no bones. I love the grounds of Blarney Castle. I adore it. I think it is a wonderful place to go if you like gardening. Castle to me is secondary, strangely enough. I love the English market. I love sitting up in the farm gate cafe, having a cup of coffee or having lunch. I live a half hour outside of Cork, and if I go into Cork for any reason, I'll end up in the farm gate. And one of Cork's hidden gems in a lot of ways is University College Cork. Most people don't know who George Boole was. He created a thing called Boolean logic. Well, if you've got a smartphone, well, it wouldn't work without George Boole. If you've got a computer, it wouldn't work without George Boole. He created the first computer language. He's the father of the modern computer age. He was the maths professor in University College Cork. And they have an amazing collection of standing stones, alm stones. It's called the Stone Corridor. And a very, very bold professor in the late 1800s and early 1900s collected them and went out in a horse and cart and bought them off the farmers and brought them back to UCC. The Honan Chapel, one of the few things that you would not expect to see in a Catholic or any church are the signs of the zodiac because they're seen to be pagan symbols. Yet there is a wonderful mosaic on the floor. And you have a river and you have fish and you have a snake. And what it's doing is it's telling you the story of the college, that people come and they stay in the college and then they go around the world. They spread out and they leave. But I love UCC. I love the history of it. I love taking a walking tour. If you go to UCC, book a walking tour because it really is. It's not an overly busy place. It's not always full of tourists, but I love it. And as I said, Danny Linehan's Sweet Shop. You've got Danny Linehan's Sweet Shop and you've the Cork Butter Museum and then you've got St. Anne's Shandon right beside each other. But when I was, I suppose, about 4, wasn't much more than that, my grandfather brought me up to Danny Linehan's. And I can remember standing at the gate. He has a kind of a timber gate and holding on and looking in and looking at all the sweets. And myself and my brother Alan. And I can't remember what it was for or why we were there, but I've been visiting Danny Linehan's ever since. And one of my great pleasures in life is to bring people there and introduce them to Danny and Tony. And it's Danny Jr. Danny Jr. is 82 this year, if I remember right. And he still works there and he still makes sweets. And his son Tony runs it. But those are the places in Cork that most people won't take you. And that's what I love. There's so many places within the city, like Nanonagle Place, Elizabeth Fort. They have fantastic stories and great places to visit. But Danny's, UCC, English Market and Blarney, they would be my top places.
Well, Bob, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat cruising, Cork, and pretty much everything in between. It's just always a pleasure to catch up with you, and I really enjoyed this chat today.
Well, I appreciated the time and the invitation, Jody. I really do. Sometimes I do talk a little bit too much, but I'm used to being in a car with people and telling them and showing them and explaining to them and entertaining them and bringing places to life. That's what we do. And funny enough, in a way, that's how we met years ago. So I love what I do, and I love showing people, and I love introducing people to Ireland. And that's what I love. It's not showing them Ireland. I like introducing them. It's not always about the money. Being able to turn around somebody and say, well, you don't need a car today. Go visit Spike Island. Go to Fota House. For me, it's about what's right for the client. And thankfully, most of my drivers would be of the same mind. And those that aren't are well on the way to being of that mind, because they see the value in it. They see the joy that people have. We have people that come back and come back and come back to us because of the drivers, because of the fact that I will take the time and Jenny will take the time to work with people and to make sure that everything works right for them on the day. All I'd say is that for anybody coming to Ireland on a cruise ship is don't just take what's offered. It's what you like. Well, if you love gardens, there's amazing gardens in Ireland. If you like castles, there's amazing castles. If you want to do something different, we'll do that too. But it's your day. We do it your way. That's what we do.
Bob has so much knowledge and such a love for Ireland that it is always so much fun for me to sit down and listen and learn from him. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And don't forget, if you did like the podcast, you can leave a 5-star review on your favorite podcast player, including Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. If your podcast app won't let you leave a review, you can visit Trustpilot at IrelandFamilyVacations.com/trust and just say something nice. It would really mean a lot to me. If you have questions or comments on this episode, you can email me, Jody, Jody, at IrelandFamilyVacations.com. As always, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, Slán go fóill.